We're going to be talking politics, and I do not want us to waste any single time, but do this. Engage with us across social media platforms, and we'll be glad for that. Prof.
Yes.
Kindly greet us, tell us how you've been before you tell us in depth where you have been.
First of all, we thank God that we're alive, Alan. But you know, some people forget about the fact that you can just breathe. And people just forget the fact that you can be able to see a sunrise. There's been a lot that has gone on, you know, in life. You saw that I was on this stage when Raila Odinga was seen to be going to define the 2027 election. And he's no more. And this is not just Raila Odinga. It's a time to reflect about end of times. And also, if you look at the month of November, when you go to developed countries like US, Europe, you find that November, the night is longer, which means darkness is longer than daytime. And then the fall of the tree, the leaves, it shows that it's a sign of end all of time. Like when you see leaves falling and the trees remain without leaves, then you start seeing the night is longer. It means that it reminds us of those last days of life. And remember, we take this time really to thank Raila Odinga for the life he shared with us. We thank his family for the life of Odinga he gave us, because in spite of just being a family man, he became a statesman that was available to Kenyans in so many ways. People used him the way they wanted, nevertheless, but that was a life shared. Of course, also we thank the people of Bondo, where he comes from, and of course the whole people of Kenya for what love they had for him. And we thank for everyone who supported him during his life. And of course, I'm sure he had a lot of influence in this show. I'm sure a lot of his quotes were there. People have discussed about him a lot. It means that he really gave life. So generally, we are glad that we are still here to carry on the mission that maybe where he left. And we look forward to maybe fulfilling our part, because you cannot do your part, leave the rest to others. And of course, you ask where I've been. I mean, since the last time I was on this show.
Almost a month ago.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, my brother. I was hosting some guests from Geneva. These guests, we finished hosting him. I think he went back to Geneva, and he was talking about election transparency and all these things. We are discussing how an election can be done in a transparent manner. Then I went to Juba, and, you know, I want to tell the people of South Sudan that after still sitting down with their leaders, I discovered something very important, that in spite of the fact that we have Sudan and South Sudan together, the life and the future of South Sudan sits more with Kenya than Sudan, because I can see that the intellectual distance, the cultural proximity, and also, let's say, the past relationship shows that Kenya will help. And you know, Kenya being an anchor state, I believe that even the president of Kenya should be looking more on how to have global peace, prosperity, and competitiveness across the region, on how to support South Sudan. I also believe very strongly that the South Sudanese feels more at home in Kenya. And when you travel to South Sudan, me as a Kenyan feels more at home in South Sudan than Sudan. So when countries look like that, I believe that South Sudan should be focusing on how to work with Kenya, and Kenya should be looking how to uplift South Sudan. Remember, South Sudan is the last born of Africa. And as you have it, before you sort out your firstborn, you must know family can be in trouble. Like I remember when my firstborn got his first degree, then he got his first job. Then he recently got married and he has a baby. And he bought his second car. I think I have no problem. But if you have a firstborn who is sitting on the couch, taking popcorns, asking you that I want to have lunch, I want to have chicken, and they are just consuming and not producing, there's trouble. So I believe that the African problem cannot be solved by one country making a breakthrough. The African problem can only be solved when we start sorting out those who are behind. In fact, they say you should run as fast as the slowest. So if you can make the slowest run faster, then Kenya can break through. Because if Kenya succeeds and South Sudan does not work, the refugees will come. And that's why I've been saying now, Kenya should not laugh at Tanzania. Because if Tanzanians fail, all Tanzanians will flock into Kenya as refugees. They'll compete for everything you want. When you want to eat bread, if the bread you are eating was half, you'll eat a quarter. So we have to find how Sudan can succeed, how Tanzania can be stabilized, and even this Uganda that is creating a lot of nonsense should be stopped. In fact, I'm sorry to say that it was very unfortunate when Museveni was saying that he wants to come and fight with Kenya and take over Indian Ocean. What the hell is that?
But probably all that is political propaganda, because over the weekend they were together in Tororo launching a steel factory.
Yeah, but I want you to understand the following. One, I know what's going on. Do you know that Museveni has always known for the years that Uganda is a landlocked country?
Yeah.
And in fact, I remember some year back, Uganda was the one that championed at the UN rights for landlocked countries. So he knows.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to do, he's trying to distract Ugandans from thinking about the election taking place in Uganda to focusing on a war with Kenya, which is impossible. Because let me tell you what, the military artillery Kenya has will run Uganda in 1 minute. Because why I'm saying why I'm saying this, if I was President William Ruto, I could have told him, can I remind you what Kenyatta did to you when Amin tried to fight with Kenya? Remember what happened?
Yeah.
They ran down all the way to Kampala. So that can happen again. And secondly, how can you compare military that trains in Lake Victoria with the military that trains the Indian Ocean? Can you compare those two navies? When someone is training to swim in a trough,
Wow, Professor.
Can you compare someone swimming in an ocean?
That is very prophetic.
No, but see, I'm trying to say you cannot compare the military artillery of Kenya with Uganda. And then lastly, professionalism. Look at how Tonje came up with rules of the succession of the military that even William Ruto being president could not interfere with.
Yeah.
General Gola became CDF against all odds. Now Haniri is the CDF, and there's nothing you can do because of the profession of the military. Can you compare with the military that is managed like a family business like the one of Uganda, whereby the president is managing the military with his wife and son? Can you compare those things?
You cannot.
Meritocracy in the Kenyan military will run down against Uganda like a normal business. So forget about these things. We understand diplomacy, we understand geopolitics, and therefore I can tell you, I have a lot of faith. In fact, that's why Kenyans are not even bothered to answer Museveni. Nobody cares.
South Sudan, then you mentioned that you were also in Kigali, Rwanda.
Yeah, in Kigali, what is interesting is that I do not know what's happening about this country, whereby Zimbabwe is entrusting that Kigali can sort out their power problems, whereby they are giving companies in Kigali to sort up some kind of setting up the grid, last mile connectivity for them. And you know why? The corruption-free environment that Kagame has created. People say Kagame is a dictator, but I think things work there. So if dictatorship can make things work in Kigali, maybe it is a good dictatorship to study. I don't think Kagame is a dictator. What I see when I talk to the taxi drivers, I talk to the people in the shops, I talk to people in the malls, they just love him because there's no nonsense. Like now, if education does not work, you tell the minister, you will resign in 24 hours if you don't give me a report that I can actually be able to explain to people in Kigali. But for us in Kenya, we have, for example, the Minister for Labor called Alfred Mutua. Do you even know he's Minister for Labor?
Yes, I know.
But do you know that the worst problem in Kenya is unemployment? If the worst problem William Ruto is facing is unemployment among the youth, how can he not sort it out? What I see him that he's also among people who have set up companies to take Kenyans maju. As a Minister for Labor, do you create jobs in your country, or you create them, you send your people outside the country in slavery in UAE? Because the president has this company called Amaco that he uses to pay insurance for people going Maju. That's why Kenyans are going Maju, for those who are going. At the same time, this Amaco was the one paying insurance for Kenyans to go to Haiti, the policemen. So these people use Kenya as a way to make business and enrich themselves. And the scandal of how many Kenyans are suffering here, they don't care about. And I can tell you, Alan, it is no brainer. In fact, for me, I find it's very disgraceful if you are a father, to tell your children to go and dig shamba la jirani so that you can make food for your home, yet you have shamba that no one is digging. Do you know that Kenya has 78 million hectares of land which is idle? Then you send someone to go and dig in UAE. in a desert. It does not make sense, Alan. It's very unfortunate. These people simply do not know how to create jobs in Kenya, and that's why, I'm offering myself to Kenyans to run this country in a way that can create jobs because I have the formula. And that's why you saw I ended up making a public lecture in New York City on how you can create jobs in Africa, you can create jobs in Asia, you can create jobs in the UAE, you can create jobs in Europe, and so that the world can have jobs. When people have jobs, Alan, you have solved the basic problem. Can you imagine if you're in a home, all your children are working and there are 11 of them? My father gave birth to 11. He said, this was a doctor, that's a professor, that's an engineer, that's a teacher, that's a pastor, that's a bishop. You see, even if people complain about anything else, no one complains about food. Like for us who are born 11 children, we were born in Kibra. We brought up in Kibra. And my father said one thing, never beg nothing from nobody. So, but Daddy, we are poor. Don't beg. He told us, think and work hard. We used to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You go to the shamba first is when you go to school. So with that hard work, can you imagine? I have just told you earlier, our last born, he has his own job now. He has bought a car for him and for his wife, isn't it? He has a child, isn't it? He has a response. He's a father now. When I look at him and say, oh my goodness, I'm very happy because this guy, having a wife and a baby and a job, he has a kind of responsibility.
Sign of prosperity.
Sometimes to say that a job, there's nothing as good as a job. But when you have in a home, I'm sure some of you here are watching me while you have a child at home, sitting on the couch with popcorns, watching TV, just making your couches grow older faster than you can imagine, and demanding lunch. He tells you, Nataka kuku, and they produce nothing. If you are people who are consumers and cannot produce, is a problem. And that's what I'm trying to say. In Kenya, we are capable of putting everybody in a job in exactly 3 years, not more. Everybody. So that those who don't want to work can work. Like in America, when you go to the US, can you imagine, Alan, that some people are believing that not working is better than working because they can earn more by claiming for unemployment benefit than if they work.
Yeah.
So even people are coming with incentives on, if you go to work, you can find a place to exercise your body so that at least you have other benefits than income, because actually some people can earn money without actually working. But in Kenya, who gives you an employment benefit? You'll die in hunger, isn't it?
But there is Nyotandogo and all of those other programs.
Alan, there's a problem with this economic thinking. As an economist, you know that money is a medium of exchange. Anytime someone gives you money without exchanging something with them, they're killing the economy. That's why inflation is a problem. Because let me tell you, Nyotandogo has promised how much money to go to the people?
Around 50,000 per person.
50,000 per person, for example, if you say that's going to throw around 5 billion in the economy, where no one has produced nothing. Do you think inflation will take place? What is inflation? When there's more money in circulation than anything being produced to exchange it with. So then tomorrow they go back to central bank, increase interest rate. What the hell is this? Why do you destroy the economy, then you try to fix? You destroy it, then you try to fix. I told the president, circulating money which has not led to any production is a problem. Secondly, over-taxation kills the business environment. Over-borrowing kills the business environment. What you need is one single silver bullet produce. If you can produce anything, you can grow the economy. You cannot build an economy based on taxation, over-borrowing, and handouts. They're the opposite of what economy should work. So I'm sorry, those things, I'm asking people. I vote money that you get for free. But of course now, because Kenyans are down on hunger, why not take it? Just take it. Inflation is a problem now. Then this will affect the banks, will affect the business community. But of course, Kenyans dying of hunger. If someone can put 53 shillings in your pocket, why not?
Yeah. I want us to take a quick break, Prof. And thank you for running down for us what you have been up to, and amazing work indeed. When we come back, people are still moving a lot of huge sums of money in sacks because on the 27th of this month, there are going to be by-elections in a raft of different constituencies and wards around the country. And the most two contested are Mbere and Malava constituency.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about that and other conversations that are making headlines in the country this morning. Keep it Science TV, and we're going to be back after the break.